In this video, I do an unboxing of League of Dungeoneers. But before we get into today's video, I just want to share with you what the GGGGs are for this month. Each month, Bob the Beholder picks some of my Patreon supporters to receive gratitude gifts. And for this month of February of 2023, we have a $50 credit towards Terrainify, where you can buy STL files. They can print the files for you, or they can print and paint the files, so make sure you check them out. We have two $25 credits towards LV427. Also, for my viewers, you can get 20% off using my code for your first purchase at their website. They're also offering two $40 pledges towards the Sunken Citadel Kickstarter. We have this printed and painted dice tower from the Mountain City of Gunbar Kickstarter that's going on right now, in addition to one pledge for that campaign. We also have this printed and painted blacksmith shop from Page 2 Adventure Kickstarter that's happening right now, along with two pledges. We have a $50 physical miniatures as well as a $14 STL only pledge towards the upcoming Brave Sun Kickstarter that is starting on February 20th and will go through mid-March. This is a space battle game in the same vein as Star Wars X-Wing and Snapships. Finally, we have $100 going towards a crowdfunding campaign, which my Patreon supporters are currently voting upon. Go ahead and use the link below to go to my Patreon page where you can get all of the details, and it only takes $1 to become a Patreon supporter, where you might have the chance of being chosen by Bob to receive one of these gratitude gifts. I made a number of videos for Michael, who is the one-man show creating League of Dungeoneers, and he ran a Kickstarter last year, turned what was originally a print and play into this box set. It was a very successful Kickstarter, and I'm happy to see that this is starting to deliver to backers. I did also create a tutorial video on how to play, and you can check that out here, although there has been rule changes, very slight ones, since I made that video. I also want to encourage you to go check out Joel's video from Drive-Thru. He does a fantastic job overviewing the rules for this game, as well as giving his thoughts, and as a summary, he thinks that this is the sequel to the original Warhammer Quest and fixes almost all of the problems that original game had. So with his glowing recommendation and reviews, let's go ahead and dive into this. And while I'm unboxing, I will be sharing some of my thoughts of comparing this game versus Dungeon Universalis. Some people have been wondering between the two, which one should they get? So I'll be sharing some of my thoughts and some of my comparisons between these two games. So let's go ahead and dive on in. All right, so you get a really nice neoprene mat, and this is the All-In pledge. And this is a good hex world map so that you can travel across the world. And this is super nice. You can just create your dungeon on top of this if you want. And here are a large number of tiles, and I created some videos talking about which 3D print versions you can use. Obviously you can use any 3D printed tiles or wall set if you want. My favorite is Dragon's Rest, but I did use Kraken Studios to create a whole tile set system because it was sort of designed with Warhammer Quest in mind, and most of these tiles also are modeled after the same size as Warhammer Quest. So these are really great, but if you're like me, you want to create 3D printed tiles, and that's a great option. This are all of the standees, so if you don't have miniatures, you get a bunch of them, and these are pretty high quality, which I like a lot, but of course I have hundreds of miniatures, maybe even thousands, I don't know, but I'm going to proxy in those miniatures. And what's great about this tile set is that you can use these for almost any game, dungeon crawler game, or Dungeons and Dragons. So it's a really nice tile set with a lot of versatility. I think there's over 70 different tiles in this box set. And this box is super heavy. I think over 30 pounds, so you're getting a ton of stuff. You don't have to buy expansions or anything like that. Pretty much everything is coming in this set. And this includes all of the outdoor tiles as well for the outdoor scenarios. And then this is the cardboard version of what is the deluxe neoprene mat. Oh wow, look, I didn't realize that it came with all the sleeves that you need to sleeve everything. And here are standees for the large size monsters and most of the other smaller ones. So you're just getting a massive number of stuff. And as you saw, the box lid doesn't go down all the way, but once you punch out all of the tiles, I think you can stick them back inside of here and the lid eventually will go down. And then here are some tokens. These are the metal coins. These are super nice metal coins here. And then more tokens. Some dice, in case you don't have a set of RPG dice. Here are some nice 3D doors. And then these are the open doors. Some nice bags. Now while I'm showing you this lower one, I will go ahead and do my review. So basically my summary is that I would rather play this game, League of Dungeoneers, than Dungeon Universalis. So I've been trying to play more Dungeon Universalis with my friends, my gaming group, but after playing twice, 2 scenarios, they've sort of petered out. And I think the general consensus is that think of Dungeon Universalis as all of the possible rules that you can have in an old school RPG sort of all thrown together. And it has a more persistent and longer campaign that you are able to just follow the storyline. But because it has so many rules, you know, it's pretty fiddly. And even the player dashboard is fiddly as well. And you have maximum flexibility with that system. But with that comes the price of sort of being sort of sloppy. So the analogy that I have with it is, you know, the all-you-can-eat restaurants where, especially the Chinese all-you-can-eat restaurants, you know, I like going there, but you can never eat all of the food that's there. And there are definitely combinations of food that you don't want because they don't really go together. And similarly, with Dungeon Universalis, I feel like there's so many options, too many, and it's a lot to manage. So because of the maximum flexibility that you're getting from Dungeon Universalis, it makes it so that the game is really swingy and it can go one way or the other. You can get crushed in some of the scenarios if you just have bad luck, versus other ones can be super easy. So that's what I mean when I say it's a little bit sloppy, where the parameters, the boundaries around the game are a little bit lacking, and so there's just sort of too much. Whereas this game, I feel like League of Dungeoneers has the same level of crunchiness. It's not a simplified or it's not a streamlined game like a lot of modern day dungeon crawlers, but there's enough boundaries around the game, around the rule set, around the options and choices that you have, which is less than Dungeon Universalis, that it's a tighter game. It sort of works better together. You can still have bad dice rolls and it can totally hose you in one, you know, while you're fighting someone, but I feel like the gameplay of it, it's tighter and there's less rules that you need to know. Whereas in Dungeon Universalis, I feel like I would have to play that game so many times before I could get all of the rules down. And I feel like because there's alternatives like this, I'd rather play this game instead. So overall, that's sort of my conclusion, is that I'm not entirely sure if Dungeon Universalis is a game that I'm going to be playing, or I feel like definitely my friends don't want to play that game. They would rather play other dungeon crawlers, and they're not so much into really crunchy old school RPG rule set. I think both this game and Dungeon Universalis, you know, I would probably rather solo because I'm into sort of old school RPGs that are crunchy. But overall, you know, even though I created a whole 3D board for both of these games, I will probably get rid of my Dungeon Universalis one because I would prefer to play this game over Dungeon Universalis. Now, I think many of you will enjoy both games, but because I don't have time to play both games, I think I'm going to keep, this is going to be my keeper. But these are all the components that you're getting in this game. It's just a massive amount. I love this quick reference of equipment and that they pulled out of the main rule book. Here's quest book number 2. Did I miss quest book number 1? Probably. I was distracting myself just talking. But this, I'm so glad for Michael because this was a passion project originally. He didn't even think he was going to make that much money when he first uploaded the original rules onto Drive-Thru Review. I think he was thinking he'd just get a couple of hits, but it sort of exploded because people really enjoyed this game, and one of my Patreon supporters told me, hey, you really need to check this out. I'm so glad that I did because I did a game review even before Michael reached out to me or anything like that. When he saw that, he and I started collaborating a little bit. I gave him suggestions about how to improve the game, and then when it went to Kickstarter, it ended up being a really successful campaign. So I'm just so glad to support an individual, a passionate gamer like him who loves dungeon crawls as well as I do. And I just think it's fantastic that this game has been really successful. So I totally recommend this game if you are an old school sort of like here. Yes, definitely this is the successor and better version of Warhammer Quest because it tightens up a lot of the sloppy rules that set had. And this box is pretty much giving you everything that you need. This all-in box, obviously you're getting some bling with it too. And most of us, we already have a plethora of miniatures that we can proxy in if you don't want to use the standees. But basically everything is coming in this massive box, which is a great deal. So there you have it. This monster box of a game contains everything that you need. And I do know that there is an intention to have a second printing as well as some potential expansions. So Michael has informed me about that. And once that campaign launches, once again, I might be able to do a video to walk you through what some of the changes are going to be with the second printing. I really feel like Kickstarter was meant for people like Michael, a one-man shop who has, out of his own personal passions, created this game. And Kickstarter really was able to bring it into fruition so that gamers like us can receive something like this. So make sure you support him. He's a fantastic guy. And make sure that you sign up and join the Facebook group so that you can be notified once that second Kickstarter happens. Go ahead and use the link below to go to my Patreon page. Again, please like and subscribe as I keep you informed of many dungeon crawlers. Happy gaming. We'll see you next time.